All right, James here.
And James is on the call, so we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to do the introduction here really quick for James. For those of you who don't know, it's an honor to introduce James, a trailblazer in the realm of journalism. For over 15 years, he's been at the forefront of investigative reporting, undercover footage, whistleblowers, and uses an innovative approach to shed light on corruption and fraud. He currently serves as the CEO of O'Keefe Media Group, or OMG, and one of his most widely viewed investigations has exposed the practices of the pharmaceutical giant Pfizer. His efforts in 2019 drew attention to voter fraud and First Amendment controversies, and his investigation in 2023 into Pfizer showcased the power of investigative journalism on a global scale. So please join me in welcoming Mr. James O'Keefe, a fearless journalist whose work continues to shape the landscape of investigative reporting. Thank you so much for joining us, James.
Thank you.
I'm going to let you take the reins for the first couple minutes here, and then if you want to take questions, you can, but I'm going to let you, decide if you want to use more time just to speak about your newest projects or if you want to take questions. We have a couple that have been pre-submitted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so every week I put out a story every Wednesday at 4 o'clock Eastern, which is 45 minutes from now. So we're about to break a story about the IRS. Um, and then this is an official who's on tape talking about how it's unconstitutional what they're doing, snooping in people's bank accounts using AI, artificial intelligence. So we're about to break that story literally in the next 15 minutes. And then we do a show called On the Inside every Wednesday. And we do undercover work, we do investigative work. We're really focused on the border right now. I don't know how many of you have seen what I've done over the last 2 months, but we're putting out a lot of material. We're infiltrating various NGOs, nonprofits that are supporting illegal immigration and getting money from the federal government into 501(c)(3)s. So we've infiltrated these various groups, Casas Alitas, No Mas Muertes, Catholic charities, church groups that are not really doing anything religious. They're just supporting illegal immigration. And the second most watched video I've ever done was actually 2 weeks ago. I went undercover and met with a White House cybersecurity official named Charles Krager. And he told me that Joe Biden is slowing down and Kamala Harris, nobody likes her. He said that he met with Michelle Obama and she's not interested in doing the job. So he said all these things that we know to be true, but we actually heard him say it. So I was the founder of Project Veritas. I am the founder of Project Veritas. You all know Project Veritas, but that I left there a year ago. They removed me a week after the Pfizer story, and then I started a new company called just my name, O'Keefe Media, OMG, O'Keefe Media Group, and we have a dozen employees, and we're it's election year, so we got a lot of things to do. And I'm actually in. Hi, one moment. Hi, you can go in there, please. Yeah. I am always running around. I'm always on airplanes. I'm extremely busy, and everyone reaches out to me for help um, with their corruption in their towns and states and cities. They everyone needs me to help solve their problems because there's very few people actually doing investigative journalism. In fact, I would say there's nobody doing it. And the reason nobody does it is because it's extremely expensive. It's very risky. You get sued a lot and you get raided by the FBI, which I've been raided by the FBI. So most people are afraid, which is completely understandable. So I have sort of become a motivational speaker because I'm trying to get people to stop being afraid. The amount of fear that people feel in this country is palpable. I would say that the fear people are experiencing is hurting the country, and I have to get people to overcome the fear. So one of my jobs is to find people who are fearless. And that's the sort of people I reach out to. I talk to about 1,000 people a day, reach out to me and want to help do something, but we're trying to find of those people who are the ones that are going to do it. So I've only got about another 10, maybe 15 minutes before I got to go back into my production room and finish this piece which is with the deadline of which is coming up here. So I'm happy to take any questions.
Well, we really appreciate your time. We know that you are a very busy person. And so I know this is not the normal time that we have our calls, ladies, but we're really grateful that James was able to join us today. He is a very busy person and is always, helping other people. So we're grateful for his time today. Several women submitted questions talking about the transition between Project Veritas and OMG. Can you talk just a little bit about what's going on there? Maybe dispel some of the rumors?
Well, I don't know what the rumors are. Um, um, but if do we have any more specific questions about that transition or
Well, what I guess sparked kind of the move to O'Keefe Media Group from Project Veritas? Is there anything that you can tell us? I know there was a pending lawsuit. I know you probably can't talk about specifics there, but there were several questions about um, exactly, maybe what happened with the board removing you. If you can talk about that. If you can't, we understand.
well, about a year ago, there was a board member, on the board named Matt, and 7 years ago, an advisor closely witnessed that man's behavior. I had a board of directors, and I put the wrong people on my board, and there was this sort of power struggle where this guy Matt, wanted to be James O'Keefe. He wanted to get rid of me so that he could I guess, become me or do the job. So after the Pfizer story, Matt said, um, "We don't need James O'Keefe anymore. We can be fine without him." Which would probably lead your people on this call to say, "Well, that's ridiculous, right?" But that's what he believed, because this happens a lot in organizations. It happens a lot in churches. It's happened pretty much at every company which has ever existed. People get jealous. There's power struggles. There's human dynamics. What was very weird about my situation is I was very closely affiliated with the brand. I mean, first of all, I was the lead fundraiser. I was the face of the company. I was the main engine of the company, but there was a desire from this individual to to be me. And one of my advisors said that Matt was very jealous. And looking back on it, I was oblivious to it. And the events that occurred would have been utterly inconceivable to me in my own mind. Um, and perhaps someone taking a more realistic approach to human nature would have not founded Project Veritas. I often believe the best in people, and I just got betrayed. You could say, well, why did they betray you? Well, why does anybody betray anybody? I guess they betrayed me because they wanted to be the CEO of Project Veritas. That doesn't make any sense to you or me, but that's the way it was. So I think it was more about like envy and power than some type of bribe from Pfizer. I don't know that. I mean, that's possible. That may come out. I don't understand what would compel someone to do that. Um, but that's basically what would happen.
Amber, it's Elizabeth Hayden. I don't know if it's the appropriate time. I just got in to ask James a question.
Can you submit it via email so that it's going through the proper channels, and then I will ask the next
Absolutely.
question. Thank you,
Sure.
Elizabeth.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
we had Senator Tom Cotton speak last month, largely about the border. Can you give us a little bit more of kind of a briefing on what you've been uncovering on the border? I know you mentioned it a little bit, but can you discuss that a little bit more? And then feel free to let me know whenever you need to go, because I realize you have to film your next segment for your breaking story.
Yeah, we've done like a number of stories in the border. You can all watch them on YouTube, on Twitter, on Telegram, on Instagram. We post everywhere. We've got millions and millions of followers. We've infiltrated these groups, these NGOs, these Casas Elitas in Tucson, No Mas Muertes down in Arivaca, Arizona. We've gone undercover at this facility in Phoenix, and we've sort of just followed the scent and recorded these officials telling us, how they're getting money from churches. They're getting money from churches. The churches, we've exposed this Unitarian church giving hundreds of thousands of dollars to this, basically this cartel. Apparently, it's like a cartel run facility right on the border. We literally had our lives put at risk. One of our journalists was almost kidnapped and at gunpoint. This is all on videotape. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. And one of our videos we did last week was we infiltrated this illegal immigrant compound, this hotel, which has been converted to this sort of Casas Elitis illegal immigrant facility, getting a lot of money. Fascinating video, photojournalism, where the sheriff's office was protecting these buses. There was this altercation. So it's sort of really on the street guerrilla journalism at the highest levels. um, it has to be seen to be believed. So I would encourage you all to watch those. If you ask where you can find them, you just go online and type my name, James O'Keefe, III, on X, on Instagram, on Telegram, our website, O'Keefe Media Group. These videos are getting watched millions of times. In fact, the White House video that we did was watched 30 million times. It was the second most watched video I've done over the last 20 years. I have found that having a small team of 12 people, we work with a lot of volunteers, but having a really tight-knit team of 12 people has been a lot more effective than having, like at Project Veritas, I had about 80 people, and many of them were mediocre. So we've been able to really become more productive now.
One of the questions that we got submitted is what can members of the National Federation of Republican Women or people that are just concerned about the issues that you're reporting on do to help, uncover some of this on our end? Obviously it's a nonprofit, so you are always looking for donations, but is there anything that people can do to, be whistleblowers? What do you do if you find yourself in one of these situations?
Well, generally speaking, what you can do, because I get asked every day, like, how can I help? And it's challenging because I have 1,000 people asking me every day, how can they help me? And obviously I can't manage 1,000 people. It's not possible. I have to find out of those people that message me who are the people who are either extremely fearless or who can financially support us. So your options are basically you can be completely fearless, you can financially support the people who are willing to do something, or the third option is you can do nothing. And that's basically the three options. That's a very curt way of saying it, but Dennis Prager says it the same way. You can do the thing, you can donate to people who do the thing, or you can do absolutely nothing. And I find most people will either donate or do nothing. And donating is good. I mean, you can sponsor us, you can donate to us, you can purchase equipment and send it to us. Investigative reporting, like whistleblowing, is very difficult, and the legal bills are millions of dollars a year. I'm not exaggerating. So it requires resources, and we work with a lot of whistleblowers. They reach out to us on our Signal account, the number of which is in my bio on social media. You can also go to our website, tips.o'keefemediagroup.com. I encourage people who are whistleblowers to clearly communicate what their issue is, because one of the challenges we have is we get these 18-page, thousands of documents. I think it's important for citizens to identify what is the story and to clearly and succinctly communicate that story to our team, because we really are overwhelmed with a lot of people that need our help.
Do you have time for one more question and maybe some closing thoughts?
Sure.
Okay. One of the questions was how you got into doing investigative journalism and really what keeps you going. Getting raided by the FBI is obviously not something that, people want to go through ever. But what kept you going after all of these things keep happening to you?
Well, I think you have to go back to the original reason, which is why you got started in the first place. Whenever you think about your own lives and what you choose to do, what are you passionate about? What gets you up in the morning? What makes you excited? And we all have different passions. So one of my passions is telling stories and making these videos. I would do that for free. Okay. It's ideally best to do something for a living that you would do whether you were making money or not. And I think it's very hard for people to understand that. But really, James, really, you do that for free? Yeah, yes. In fact, I started out with nothing. And then I lost everything a year ago because my board fired me over some absurd power struggle. And then I started all over again. So yeah. And I mean, we're putting out a story. You'll see it in 30 minutes from now, and you'll be floored. You'll be amazed. And then this is because I'm passionate about what I do, and I believe in what I do. And I think a lot of people in this country are extremely cynical, extremely hopeless, Nothing will ever happen to these people. You've heard that said thousands of times. The country is doomed. And I'm probably more of an optimist. I believe that exposing, stuff really matters, and information matters, and it wakes people up. And even if you can wake up a couple people, I know that I've woken up more than a couple. To what degree? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands? Is it a million? Let's call it thousands. I know that I've woken up thousands of people. That's very conservative estimate. I think that that's the sort of thing that we need to do. And information is the thing, not coercion, not jailing people. We're headed towards a place of perhaps civil war, and I want to avoid that. And the only way to avoid that is to try to create some type of moral consensus through education, information, and revealing things. That's the solution. It's the difficult solution, but that's the only solution I can see for this country.
Well, James, thank you so much for, that. I think that was a, hopeful message and for what we can do for the future. I'm going to kind of leave you with some time to, give us some closing thoughts, but I'm going to kind of ask you a question too, as part of it is, do you believe that President Biden will be the nominee in 2024 for the Democratic Party? And give us some closing thoughts before you head off to share your next breaking story.
Well, that's what Charlie Krager said undercover with me, the White House official. If you haven't watched that video, you need to. And he says, yeah, Biden will be the nominee. So I think that's going to happen. But I also think there's going to be some unforeseen black swan event that no one can anticipate. And you have you have two nearly around 80-year-old men. So run the actuarial tables on that. That something's going to happen. I don't know if it's death or some unforeseen like weather event, or aliens land on the planet. I don't know, but there's I can tell you it's 100% certain there is going to be some black swan, unforeseen, unpredictable thing that occurs between now and election day that will completely throw things in a loop. But having said that, Biden will be the nominee. Yes.
Great. Well, I not maybe not great for us, but will you do you have any other closing thoughts before we let you go?
No, I would just encourage everyone watch the videos. If you have not seen these videos, but I'm just talking about the last 5, 6 weeks, every week, please watch our work. That's what I would ask you, and send it around. These are extraordinary stories. In fact, I would argue that I'm more productive now than when I was at Project Veritas. I'm putting out more work right now at a higher level. So if you haven't seen it, I don't know if you guys watch Fox News or where you get your information, but Elon Musk's purchasing of X it was really a big deal, because it's been able, our videos are viewed millions and millions of times. So go on there. I've got to run. It's almost 3:30, so I've got to run. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. We really, really appreciate it.
All right, bye-bye.